Do we speak up or do we shut up? How's it going, everybody? That's the question of the day. Do we speak up or shut up, in the sense of what issues are worth talking about and which ones aren't? This is extremely subjective. Depends on the person who's listening and the person who's speaking. Not all issues are very important, and in today's world, the media has just made it nearly impossible to determine what things actually matter. But as I say, the government has, done their share, as well as the media, but the alternative media over the past 10 years has done its best to create their own version of the truth, which now we have to sort through many versions of BS to know what's even important. And a question I proposed when somebody posted a video earlier is, is this really as big of an issue as the media makes it out to be, or is this just a few people? One of those is things like cancel culture, or, how bad is it? Well, it's shown itself to be pretty bad at this point, but I'm not here to talk about that. This particular story is about water rights, and about the coming water wars. And, the title that I read earlier was the first salvo fired in the water wars, and my first thought was, no, this has been going on for a very long time. This is an issue that I think is important, and is worth talking about. And I guess that's why I bring up that at the beginning about there's so much trivial journalism, so many trivial discussions, but some things really do affect us and really are important. They seem to be the things we talk about the least. One of those is things like this. So here's the article, as I'd like to just read part of it from this website I was on. It's about a particular place called St. George, which is in Utah, right near Zion National Park. It's one of the fastest growing cities. It says St. George is now the fastest growing metropolitan area in America. The state forecasts that in 40 years, the county will boom to 500,000, which is like plunking a whole new Albuquerque down in the canyons. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I see, yeah. 13 golf courses bloom green amid desert cliffs. Capillary cul-de-sac pulse with turf. Plans are underway for a Caribbean/Polynesian water park with a 900-foot lazy river, a 7-story slide, and an artificial wave pool for surfers. Bulldozers just broke ground on a master plan tract called Desert Color, where 33,000 souls will dwell near the shores of, get this, man-made lakes. The drawings show denizens tanning on white powder beaches and going across waters. Washington County, in fact, guzzles more water per capita than any metro area in the Southwest. To keep the water flowing, the state plans to dip a 6-foot diameter straw into Lake Powell, a reservoir in the East Colorado River, 140 miles to the east. Then suck the water 2,000 vertical feet through 5 pumping stations and 6 hydroelectric plants, crossing blah, 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 blah. It will deliver 86,000 acre-feet of water per year, enough to support 250,000 people. The price tag is $1.8 billion, more than twice as much as the Golden Gate Bridge in today's dollars. And then it goes on to talk about whether Utah has its own right to this water. The reason I bring this particular place up, St. George, is because they are basically, in the area, there are 13 large golf courses that's owned by this one group. Everybody has lawns. It's a very nice area. All the parks have water features, and grass is everywhere. Now, mind you, this is in the middle of the desert. Now, here's the question. Could these people survive and continue to grow without having to pipe in this water? Yes, they absolutely could, if they utilized what they have rather than using it all for golf courses. These places waste. I mean, from what I read, the average citizen uses 3 times more water than the average American, which is understandable in the desert. But this doesn't account for the use on things like golf courses and artificial lakes and stuff. And so my point here is that human nature, we are really screwing ourselves out of a future, and I feel like everyone's going to have to pay the price because of a few ignorant souls that have the money. I shouldn't say they're even ignorant, they're probably well aware of what they're doing, that the future collapse that's going to come from doubling a city this size and expecting the Colorado River to keep supplying is pretty ridiculous. Mind you, if you're not aware, the Colorado is already under extreme duress. That reservoir was at over 94% capacity in 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Now it's at 50%. It's dropped by almost half. And a lot of people are already suffering. They want to blame California and they want to blame other states by saying, look, they've already used theirs and we haven't used ours yet. And there's some truth to this. And I won't get into the details of how each state has a claim to a certain amount of water. The thing is, we must change the way we perceive rights to water. If you're not aware of this, these water wars have been going on for a long time. George Bush, the Bush family, back in, when he was president, Bush Jr., I remember reading a lot about his family and the water rights that they'd bought up in Texas. They bought land over almost all the major aquifers in Texas. And not just there, but in the Middle East. Coincidentally enough, there are many aquifer areas that are purchased and owned by billionaires and millionaires just because they know that it's going to be the next oil, clear gold, if you will. Because even if cars stop, agriculture must go on. Humans cannot survive without water. We can survive without oil, but not all of us, of course. I mean, when the the thing about petroleum is it's only able to be extracted from certain areas and it's very intensive. When it comes to an aquifer, you drill a hole in the ground and you pump it out. These companies have been doing this to us for a long time. Nestle ignored their permits for delivering and harvesting water from Northern California. It was a huge issue. Sometimes ground levels drop because farmers, pull too much water out without properly accommodating, and there's a lot of waste that goes on. So anyhow, that's what I've got for the day, and thanks for listening, and let me know what you think about, if you've got any opinions on the water issues, and thanks to my patrons, thanks to all my peeps. Talk to you next time. Be well. Hopefully you live in an area where you've got plenty of water. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm pretty good to go. I got to say that I'm pretty grateful for that. That's on the final note, that I'm talking about a place that I don't live, and I do so. I know a few people who have moved down there. Roberta, Rockin' Roberta on YouTube, she's down there in Arizona, which is going to have the same problems. It's really unfortunate because, I don't want to see people run out of water in their city, of course. But when you look into history, when people say what happened to these groups that used to live in the Southwest, these tribes that lived out there, and these, native tribes and huge cities before that, well, the tribes were often a direct result of descendants from these large civilizations. The Mesoamericans, the people who lived in these huge areas, they found that they left because there was no more water. And because desertification comes and goes. And so these processes are nothing new. It's just that we have a hell of a lot more built there, a lot more relying on it. So take care. Talk to you next time.